Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is the Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss. And I am not Preacher Moss, I am Sister Sutana. And Preacher Moss is out for the day. Actually, he may pop on a little bit later on. But today I am your co-host here. So welcome everyone to the Shout Out Show. We are here every day at this time. So make sure you do tune in. Welcome to the show again. If you're new, if you're old, we thank you for coming. But today's topic is, are smartphones making us smarter? And so this is a discussion that was had like earlier this week, and it was like, we need to actually, kind of delve into this a little bit more. Smartphones has a robust history of, and that we'll get into a little bit later on. Um, and it was the smartphone itself was around making the phone itself smart, right? And so just an upgrade to the type of technology around smartphones. But what is it doing for the person who actually uses the smartphone? And so is that a two-way street? Was it making the smartphone smarter as well as the person smarter? And so we want to get into that a little bit today. So I am going to welcome you again, and then we'll see you in a few minutes. Take it away. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you, and welcome to the Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss. I am not Preacher Moss. I am Sister Sutana Whitfield, and I'm standing in for Preacher today. He may pop in a little bit later on today, but I am your host today, and welcome to everyone for joining the show. We are at episode 419, so thank you to everyone who has been with us from day one to day 419. So even if today's your first day, we appreciate you and welcome you to like, share, and subscribe. We're on different platforms. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So be sure to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Okay. So we are gonna get into it again. We'd like to welcome everyone, and we want to say hello to the people in the room, right? So we have people who come in every day, who we call our shout out warriors. They have been with us for so long, and so we wanna do that. So let's go ahead and see who's in the room. So Sister Ree, how are you? We want to give you a shout out. Hello to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be unto you. Welcome to the show. We appreciate you. Give the greetings to your family. Hope you're doing well. And stay cool in that hot weather. And for you all who don't know, Sister Ree is actually our the official dietitian of the show. She provides nutritious meals for those who are in her area. I'm not in her area, but she does that for our host preacher. So thank you and welcome. Who else we got? Brother Altaf, hey there, how are you? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brother Altaf. Brother Altaf is actually our official um, ambassador coming way in from Canada. He has been with us from like day one. And so he has that, official title of being the ambassador to the show. No passport needed, but we appreciate you being here and always being here on time and always has great, information to give. So we do appreciate you, Ataf. And Talk to you later. And who else do we have? Okay. So, um, we have me. Okay. We have me. But actually, oh my God. So on the back end today, as you can see, we do have Preacher. I don't know what is happening with him. He should not be operating heavy machinery right now. But we do want to, get wave to him. He's in the back end doing some of the back end work. He may pop in. And wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Preacher Moss, welcome to your show. And so, as we were telling the crowd, he's operating the back end today and may pop in for a second or two later in the show. All right. So let's go ahead and get to our show topic. So our show topic is our smartphones making us smarter. And this is, kind of a little bit lighter today. If you all tuned in early this week, we had some great topics, and you need to go back and check them out. They're either on the same platforms that I talked about. We have them listed. But the first one on Monday, we talked about our preacher had a conversation about Mamba mentality. And so this was about, the great Kobe Bryant. May Allah be pleased with him and everyone, who perished that day. But um, he talked about that mentality of his is that creative mentality, whether it was on the court or off the court, right? So he took that same mentality, that same Mamba mentality, and was able to grow and to curate a lot of things because of that mentality. And so he kind of went through that process of how we could actually start to, have that mentality and why it's important. Yesterday, we actually covered, which was really great, which is so important and so in the news right now, critical race theory, and based off a book by Derek Bell. And so I actually downloaded the book, Audible, and started to listen to it. And so it's actually a pretty interesting listen or read. So, however you take in your media, yeah, definitely take a look at that, or take a listen to that. It was, like I said, the first, I'm not finished with it yet, but the first, I think I got through an hour of it. So it was a really great lesson too. So those are some of the, the topics today. But again, it's going to be a little bit light today. Again, it's going to be talking about our smartphones making us smarter. Okay, so then smartphones. So, and then Sister Ree, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. He said, yes, thank you for being a blessing for us today. Thank you so much, Sister Ree. I appreciate it. And then Preacher said faces. Okay, thank you. So it was critical race theory. This is on the book yesterday by Derek Bell. So critical race theory, faces at the bottom of the well. So by Derek Bell. And so again, if you haven't read it, if you don't know about it, really take a look at it, pick it up. And it's a good read. So okay, all right. So smartphones. Okay, so are we smarter because of smartphones? And so smartphones, if you all remember, like in 2007, like at Macworld, I believe it was, Steve Jobs made like this huge announcement, right? It was like this really, really huge announcement on this whole innovation um, of products that they were going to do. So they were going to do they were really popular with like music. That was their thing, right? So it was on like and I actually just found it. My iPod. It's really weird, right? So I just found it. This has like 2 gigs, and this actually play. I don't even think it even plays anymore. I'm not sure. I gotta figure out how to charge it. But that's what they were like. It was like the music thing, right? So they had everything. They had devices that they could put music on, and so it was more portable. It's more mobile. Everyone was getting into the mobile segment of everything, and so what they um, yes, you are absolutely right. 2 gigs equals 4 songs. You're absolutely right, but it was able to shuffle, so that was a good thing, right? So that was innovative in that space. But again, it was something that at that point you didn't have to have. at that point, I think it was still like CDs, maybe tapes. Some people were had 8 tracks. I don't know. Some people were still doing the records. I don't know. But at this point, the innovation was that it was just mobile. You could take it with you. It was in this small compact thing that was like smaller than your wallet. You could put it in your wallet, and you can have a couple of songs on this device and like get up and go, right? So then this was the innovation of Apple, right, itself, right? So Steve Jobs, getting back to 2007, Steve Jobs made this huge announcement made all types of news at Macworld, like that they were coming up with this new innovation. And the new innovation was iPhone, right? So iPhone was going to take the power of the music, the the nano and the phone, and then I think it was like the internet, and then this was going to be like this whole. He talked about 3 different things, right? And then he was going to, but the thing was that they were going to combine it into one device, and that was like huge. That was really huge. Now, smartphones were not new. They were not new in 2007, right? So let's step back, like I think at least 10 years ago, right? 10 years prior to that, there was a company called, I think Simon, or the product called Simon. And so it was a Southwestern, it was Southern Bell, or Southwestern Bell, one of the phone companies, the Southern phone companies. They had this product called Simon, and it actually allowed you to do, and it was like, those screens are like gray and then like it's like black. So it wasn't as robust as a robust interface as it is now, but it did allow you to do email. It allowed you to do faxes. Some of you are asking what are faxes? Go look it up, right? It allowed you to do faxes and allowed you to, I don't think it allowed you to get on the internet, but it just allowed you to do some things that were a little bit mobile. But again, if you all knew, like the phones back then, they were so chunky, and, just to like kind of hold them. And of course, the price was extraordinary, right? So I think it was like $1,000. So the technology of smartphones was not new in 2007. What was extraordinary in 2007 was that it was the um, the mobility of it. Again, like I said, it was really chunky back then, but it was the mobility and the interface. So let's take a look at it. We're gonna get into it. Does it make you smarter? But I just wanted to kind of go into some of the history. So if we look at like what like some of the, oh yeah, and the battery life. Thank you. So the battery life was like crazy, right? I think it lasted like an 60 minutes. I think it was like a 60-minute charge, right? 60-minute charge. There was like no storage. That you can only you couldn't put so much on there. There wasn't a lot of memory on these phones. But again, they were really innovative. And of course, there was like people were like, oh wow. And so of course, a lot of it was a lot of this precursor, even like the internet, right? It was the government had this first, right? And so then now it goes out to the consumers, right? Yeah, and cell towers. Thank you. Cell towers was another one, right? So there weren't that many cell towers to support, the phone calls pinging from one tower to another, or one from one area to another, right? So all of this was, it was expensive. It was expensive to do, and so a lot of people who were either corporate or or in entertainment, or that they're the ones who really drove this market, right? So it wasn't a mass market, and so that's what really was the innovation behind that 2007 smartphone, right? It had more of a market appeal because it was lower in price. It was it covered more mobility. It had internet, and some of the things that we talked about a little bit earlier. And then it was um, Apple was the thing at the time, right? And it wasn't the only one, because you still had like Ericsson and Nokia, which was more. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Johnny L. Thomas, how are you? Welcome to the show. Johnny L. Thomas is the little brother of Preacher Moss. And so they have been rolling for quite some time. So thank you, Johnny, getting into this conversation about smartphones. And I also want to ask everybody, what was your favorite smartphone during your time, and which one do you think you could bring it back? Okay, So then, and I think, you know, um, talking about cell phone. See, our cell phones make you, smartphones make you smart, right? Because I'm forgetting here. So then so then there's Ericsson and there was Nokia, and so but these, one of the things about and then BlackBerry. I'm going to say Blueberry, BlackBerry, right? BlackBerry, like I had a BlackBerry, I loved it. But the thing about that was the interface, right? What was the thing in Palm? I think that was another one, right? So what was the difference between these? They had like a physical keyboard, right? And so the innovation was that you had this GUI, this graphical user interface that was actually embedded on the phone. You had that, right? And so that was new and that was innovative. So again, smartphones are not new. It's not a new technology, but the way that it was presented, and that was like the innovation that was there. So like 2007, like when Steve Jobs was at Macworld and he was introducing it. So it was this huge buzz around this, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I got to get this thing," right? So 2007, what are we, 13 years, like, so in that time, in that space we have actually had, of course, different iterations of iPhone, like every other year. We've had other players in the market. Android, my personal fave. Android, has their phone, their smartphones, and other ones. So you have international, Huawei, I believe that's how you pronounce it. So there are just so many others that are in the game. So what actually, on top of that, um, are the apps, right? So open up this whole um, platform of this ecosystem for app developers, right? So app developers were getting on here, just developing all types of different types of apps and different things that are supposed to make it efficient for people, supposed to save people time. So I guess we get to our question: are smartphones making us smarter? Like, so we use these devices, right? We use these devices every day, every waking moment. I mean, honestly, sometimes we take it to bed with us, right? We're just like, and we fall asleep with it, right? So we have it like the entire day. But are these devices making us smarter? So I was reading that, and there are pros and cons about this, right? So then some people are saying that yes, it makes you smarter because it helps you organize. When your brain sees something new and different, it kind of categorizes it, and so your brain looks to do something, looks to categorize it and does something new. And then there's this whole nonverbal communication that your brain is actually that's also new, and so it's actually adhering to that, and so that's actually you know making you smarter. you know on the other hand, it's like, yeah, like, remember a time when you were able to, like, um remember birth dates, right? I'm gonna see some comments. Okay, so Altaf said I was forced into getting a smartphone because the company was no longer supporting the phone I had. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people. So my dad. Sorry, dad. My dad still uses a flip phone. He will not get a smartphone. Like, I remember going into the store with him. I was like, "Well, do you want a smartphone?" He was like, "Absolutely not." And sometimes I get it because it's just too much coming at you, right? And so he's just like, "I just want to make a call." Not even text. He just wants to call, and that's it. Have a speakerphone. Doesn't even use a camera. It's like, dude, So, and that's it. And so then let's see. Preacher says, "Are we fooled into thinking capacity with the smartphone makes us smarter? Are we fooled into thinking capacity with the smartphone makes us smarter?" You know what? I think so. We do have some comments, but we'll go through. Sorry, I think these are you. Sorry. But I think it is. I think that we can, um, that the capacity of the phone, means it's mental capacity, and that's not really true. So it's like um, you have you allow the phone to do what you used to do, right? And so I think, in some cases, I think that it doesn't make us smarter because there's some things that we used to do, right? And so I mentioned before, at the drop of a hat, we could actually remember phone numbers, and I mean multiple phone numbers, like 7-digit phone numbers, just rattle them off real quick. Can't even do that anymore. Can remember birth dates, right? Can remember sometimes people's names, people's addresses, right? And so we're allowing this device to have that capacity, have that mental capacity for us, right? And so we're not, you know, we're not using that segment in our brains, and that yeah, passwords are the worst. It's like you have to have a password for everything, right? So but it's not allowing you to use use that mental capacity because the phone is actually taking the place of that piece, right? And so there are, and not to mention there, not just the phone itself, the physical phone itself, it's the apps. There are so many apps out there that are like taking away, um, I to me, I think it's taking away a lot of the mental capacity, right? So you have games, and you have you know, it's all types of things that I mean, it's like you go out to any app store or any, Play Store. It's too much, And so I look at the different generations. Like, okay, so we know how to put it down. Like my dad, forget for sure knows how to put it down. He doesn't even bring his phone out with him sometimes, which I think is like, I'm like, suppose you're in an emergency. Like, how would you not have your phone with you? He was like, I'll be all right. Okay, I don't quite believe in that, but I'll take my phone. But I don't always need to have the phone like on, like in my hand. I'm like always doing something. Maybe some days I do, but not. And so but then like younger generations, they're growing up with this tool, right? And so how do they um perceive or use this tool versus like older generations? Like, is it just so embedded into their just livelihood that they can't use it? Let's see, that they, you know, Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ahmed Shahid from Houston, Texas. Assalamu alaikum. My kids learned to read at a very early age, and I think the apps I allowed them to utilize have some impact. Like any tool can be used for benefits or detriment. That is so true. That's a good point. It's all about balance. And so sometimes, people can't balance that. And you're right. And a lot of the tools that people, and I like what Ahmed said, he uses a lot of the educational tools to help with reading, but some of the apps out there are really a detriment. I do believe. Now, I'm not bashing smartphones. Please don't think that I am doing it. I mean, I love my smartphone, and you know, um, but I just think there does need to be balance with it. Let's see. I'm just looking at some of the prompts here. Yes, auto correction while texting. That's kind of horrific. Because sometimes you say things that you don't want to say, and it's like, ah. And then also, I don't want to get off, but and then sometimes it's like it doesn't convey what you want to say, like through texting, right? And so it's like, let me just stop with texting. But let me hear from you. Like, what were your favorite like smartphones of all time? Even if you're not using it now, like which one would you love to like go back to? Um, I actually, I actually like my BlackBerry. I like my BlackBerry. Until it started freezing, it started like blue screening on me, like and then I had to go to. I actually went to an iPhone, and I think I had that for like maybe it was 5 or 6, and then I was like, yeah, I can't do an iPhone, and so ever since then I've been with Android, and so it's one of my favorite. But if I could go back to it, I would probably want to try the new BlackBerry. I think it does have before when I had it had the screen, the physical screen, so you had to actually use the keyboard. but I think the new one now has like the GUI interface, so it's like integrated with the screen. So yeah. Okay. So then I'm just looking at my notes just to make sure I did cover everything. Okay. So let's see. So why don't you come in? Come in and talk about your BlackBerry. Let's have a BlackBerry conversation.
I'm only laughing because I still got it. I've been trying
I
to.
know.
I'm one of those people to hold on to an old smartphone, hoping it'll come back in style again.
Hence this, right? Right. I have this, and this is
I,
like
I,
this.
I still got my iPhone 4, my iPhone 4S. Oh my!
Yeah, yeah. I can't
That was
remember
those
what.
are the iPhones you couldn't transfer any of the music.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It
This
just
is
didn't
for
have
the
have a
iTunes,
device.
iMusic, iTunes Music.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm going to bring up a comment here. Author says the phone with the slide out keyboard, was that the kickstand, the kickstart, the kick
That was
sidekick?
the
Was that the
sidekick.
sidekick?
That
Was
was
that the
the
sidekick
sidekick.
also? Yeah. So I think that
And
was a really popular one. I don't can't remember if that was Nokia or Ericsson, but that was like a really really popular one. But
yeah,
again, I don't think.
because I think
Yeah.
Jay Z had one and made it really popular.
Okay, okay, okay. But I think that it wasn't the integrated like GUI, so it still had like the physical keyboard. But I think that was like hugely popular, just like opening up because you know what? It came out of the pager at age, right? Because prior to that, it was like the pager, right? And so everyone's like, okay, I can still put this on my hip, and then I can do this. And so I think that
But the pager phone
yeah,
that slide the pager goes out for me. Like the pager goes out and it's synonymous with the disappearance of payphones.
for
So
sure.
you had a
Yeah,
market demand that was totally created by the fact that after a
yeah,
while you couldn't find a payphone,
yeah.
and it was
That's
almost
true.
ridiculous to get a page at your house and use your house phone.
What's the point?
Uh,
What's the point? And
and
you
it's
know, we have
they found different ways. Like I know in the and you I don't want to ramble on, but you know what, the payphone was synonymous with drug dealers back in the day.
for sure. And
It was
pages.
synonymous, and that was the impetus of getting rid of the payphones.
Basically. Basically.
And so
Yeah.
you moved them to cell phones, and early cell phone technology, you could track. One of my favorite shows, The Wire,
The wire.
and
The
they talk
wire
about
actually
cell phones on the wire.
was the blueprint for telling you how that worked.
One person have like 8 cell phones, and they'd be switching them around. And there was
Right.
Stringer
Right.
Bell who was like, no, 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 you switch the SIM cards. And it
Right.
took him
Right.
the whole season to figure out
Right.
he was switching SIM cards.
So he like gave a whole generation, a lot of people how to do what they needed to do. So Ree says my next cell phone was awesome. LOL. Walk and talk action. I know that yeah, we had like different types of features, but I had to go back to the pager because there's like a whole generation who's looking at us like, what are you talking about? What's a pager?
Well, you know what? I think the thing with that is you would try to send messages on a pager, like 411 911. You'd be like 911, and you
Yeah,
put number 911 like somebody's supposed to call you in an emergency. It was like
mm,
even when you were doing it, it's like this is not going to last
it's not
long.
gonna happen. It's not. Yeah, it wasn't.
I think it's to your point. It just kind of leads up to the innovation,
Yeah,
and I still think the blueprint for telecommunications and how it expanded.
mm,
It was inner city usage. It was inner city usage. Number one,
how about
for that
that?
model, you could charge a premium price.
Hmm.
So they start out charging a premium price, and
Hmm.
as technology gets to a certain point, they say the premium price now bars people from coming in the market. We can, that first iPhone, that first iPod, they drop it down, and it's
Yeah,
like we're going to give them phones and music,
yeah, yeah,
things
yeah.
that involve the ears, phones and music. So you're going to listen to music out of this apparatus,
Hmm.
or you're going to talk on the phone.
Yeah.
You remember how quiet before the early cell phones? They didn't really have speakers on them, and you have to listen to the music like that. Remember, it's like
Hmm.
like you get a cell phone now, and it's like loud. You can hear it all over your house,
Sure, sure, sure,
but you
sure.
can't now. Okay, my mom's coming on with the
Okay.
undisputed truth.
So Mama Mary says, I'm still using the BlackBerry and I have a flip phone. Yeah, I mean, see, it tells
And
her.
she
It tells
uses it
her.
at the same time. She calls herself, "Hello, how are you, Mary?" I'm doing well, girl. I haven't seen you in a long time.
I'm just shaking my head. That's not me. Okay.
God bless her and Miss Illinois. That's a comedy show. Them and those
Yes.
cell phones. They got like 1,700 cell phones charging in the house. They,
Wow. Oh,
they just have so many cell phones.
yeah. You can
But
never have enough. Yeah, for sure. For
but
sure.
then again, as a as a child, if you called your parents at the house and then at home, what's your next thing? You're gonna call them on the cell phone. And if you don't get them on
Probably.
the cell phone, it is absolute panic.
You're just out of luck. Yeah, out of luck.
I
Yeah.
think the thing, your comment about smartphones making us smarter,
Mm.
I feel like it made us a lot more vulnerable because
And what way?
I think as the market evolved, it catered
Mm.
to things that we didn't do well or we didn't pay attention to or we didn't value to, like all the apps for finances. So
Mm.
now your banking is in your hand.
For sure. Yeah.
So you don't actually have to go to the bank anymore. You can open up accounts on
Yeah.
a cell phone, on your computer, on
Yeah.
an app. And
Hmm.
so have that thing and just communication. They figured out so many ways for you to communicate, but at the same time stay on your cell phone. What's
Mm. Yeah.
Twitter, all social media apps are like meant to make sure I feel that you become a slave to your phone. And if you're
And
a
then
slave to your phone, it's like you're a slave to the
yeah.
information that comes through your phone. We talked about this. Uh, I'm talking about with my mom, JT, a couple people. What Apple did and what Android did is they figured out a way to make us look at our phones as, say it with me, television.
Television.
You are turning channels now. You're not
Yeah.
dialing, you're turning
Yeah.
channels.
Yeah.
And
That's
you don't even
interesting.
dial anymore. You bring up somebody, you do Siri
Hmm.
call, blah, blah, blah. It does it
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So I think
a
it's
good point.
it's a
That's a good
very
point.
orchestrated thing. You
Hmm.
look at your phone on TV. This is what you do when you look at your phone. Any other time you do
Absolutely.
this, you pick
But
up your phone.
what's interesting is also as you're doing that, it's like the amount of data about you and your contacts that they're like collecting. And so we know data is king, data is king, right? And
Mhm.
so this is another way that they have like figured out how to pull in. How many times have you been like on the phone and like you said, okay, you know what, I need to go and like get something off of Amazon. And then you go to Facebook and then Amazon pops up with the thing that you said that you wanted to get. It's like
You
I
remember a black man get locked up for drugs for 30 years off a wiretap?
off of white tops. There we
When's
go.
the last brother you heard
There we
get
go.
25 years off a wiretap? They going down for Texas. They going down for Texas and cameras.
Right, right. You be on 95, 95. Like, how did they catch they heard your phone call.
Well, you
So
run they the you can order a wiretap on the phone and you have no idea. I mean, we're going through it right now with the president pulling people's phone records,
there you go. There you
pulling their
go.
email records. So
So
I
your mom
get
says I have a smartphone but can't get it to work, but it can't get it to work for me. So
the
looks like we
problem
have
is you, mom. The problem is you. There's a support group called The Problem Is You,
a
and
problem
they
issue.
all have cell phones. I give my mom a lot of credit. Technology is not her thing, and I will give her credit because I'm going to say that technology is not my thing. Uh,
Hmm.
if it weren't for JT getting a smartphone back in, oh my gosh, 1990, I don't know, maybe 1997.
Yeah,
Because
that's
they
when
get it for all of
smartphones
us.
really came out. Yeah,
They
like
get it
that
for all
time
of us.
when
And even then, still
mm,
working, not knowing how to text, things like that. I mean, it's really I was behind even though I had a phone. I didn't know how to text. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
texted,
Mm-hmm.
but and there's a lot to say there because I think there's a culture of resistance, and I think we need that culture of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my cell phone to do everything for me. I don't want you to autocorrect because sometimes what I'm saying is not appropriate. I mean, I'm at somebody, there's an issue, and I don't need you uh, autocorrecting some of the things I'm putting in. We
Like
need an
I
app.
actually wanted to say that.
We need an app on our phone just called "Let a Negro Be."
Just let me be.
Let a Negro be, and tap on that.
Let me be. So yeah, so this is a fun conversation. As we still, we use these daily, hourly, minutely. Um, but it's that's something that's so ingrained in our lives. And like I said, we had this conversation before, and it was like, um, I can't remember the number, and I'm like, we used to be able to like remember like multiple like 7-digit phone numbers, addresses, people, and it's like, okay, are we relying so much on smartphones that we're we're closing down that segment of our brain? So that was just
Mhm,
a
mhm.
conversation I kind of wanted to have. Um, it was fun. Thanks everyone for participating. Um, and wow, time goes by quickly. So let's go ahead um, and thanks for the convo. Preacher. I know you're working
Yes,
back
thank you. We have,
today.
we have a little announcement to make, but it's okay. I'll do it later.
Okay.
I will do it later. But I'll let you, of course, make because you're in charge of the show. I just popped in, so let you talk
What?
about the sponsors. There you go.
So let's go ahead and we have our sponsors up. Thank you. And so if you all were on our show a few Saturdays ago, we had our current sponsor, Miss Maxine Cade, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, or you can call her at 888-496-6845. So we have multiple ways of accessing her, but she was an excellent presenter and talked about just wealth building and how to wealth building and insurance. And so she had it was an excellent show. People were asking for her to come back, so we do hope that she does come back. So please be sure to reach out to her at can bring that back up, befinanciallyindependent.com, or call her at 888-496-6845. Our other sponsor is bayanonline.org. And so, again, if you guys have been sticking with us, you know that Preacher has actually graduated earlier this month in Islamic education, a master's in Islamic education. Yay, congratulations. But from bayanonline.org. So give them a shout out, take a look at it. And if you're interested in, pursuing the master's in that area, definitely look at bayanonline.org. The other thing I wanted to shout out was the Universal Truth. It's the documentary. Let me pop that back up there. The documentary on Muhammad Ali, and it was a 6-part podcast. The actually preacher was actually one of was the narrator on this, and actually a good friend of ours, Precious Rashida Muhammad, was actually one of the EDs and the lead writer on this podcast. But Ken Burns, PBS documentary, Ken Burns actually gave the show a shout out in one of his tweets. So go back and take a look at it. I think it is going to be on PBS, but if you can go ahead and take a look at it on your favorite podcast, it's called The Universal Title. It is actually on Muhammad Ali's spiritual journey to Al Islam. Okay, so we super enjoyed having you all here talking about smartphones. Are they making us smarter? Please join us back here tomorrow. We're here live every day on this same platform on Facebook, on um, Twitter, and on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And then you can also see it in replay. But come join us live. Come hang out in the comments with us. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And again, thank you everyone for joining and have a great day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
There you are. I know you're looking at your screen going, that's a good looking black man. And you're right. I'm Preacher Moss, and you're not. Today, I want to talk about Olive Branch Muslim Family Services, better known as the people who help people. And I need you to help the people who help people so they can continue to, you guess it, help people. Get it? Got it? Good. Olive Branch Muslim Family Services. Action you can see, compassion you can feel. Graphic now.